So for over a century, people have known that smoking cigarettes is not healthy. And during that time, they've developed numerous strategies for people to help kick the habit. So things like cold turkey, uh, patches, that kind of thing. Recently, a new development has come along, and that's e-cigarettes. So essentially an alternative to smoking. And so the question then becomes, is this a good thing? Is it healthy? And so in this video, what I'm going to go over are the health effects associated with smoking cigarettes and compare those with the health effects associated with smoking e-cigarettes. A century ago, medical reports linked smoking to lung cancer and shorter lifespans. And it wasn't until the 1950s that large-scale studies confirmed that indeed, smoking caused lung cancer, and that the more a person smoked, the more likely they were to get cancer, or have a myocardial infarction. Now, in the time since, countless studies have identified the many ways in which smoking cigarettes negatively affects human health. Along with lung cancer, they have found that smoking cigarettes leads to other forms of cancer throughout the body. So places like the mouth, throat, esophagus, pancreas, bladder, kidney, cervix, stomach, and colon. Now, beyond cancer, researchers have found that smoking affects the cardiovascular system, leading to an increased risk of heart attacks and strokes and higher blood pressure. Now, smoking is also shown to be associated with diseases of the lungs, things like COPD, emphysema, asthma, and bronchitis. All of these adverse health effects will shorten one's lifespan. Now, collectively, what this means is that even though cigarettes are inhaled into the lungs, their negative effects will be felt throughout the entire body. All right, so clearly smoking cigarettes causes adverse health effects throughout the body. The question then becomes well, how? When a person takes a puff of a burning cigarette, they're exposed to over 7,000 chemicals, where at least 70 of them are known carcinogens. Carcinogens being chemicals that cause cancer. So things like benzene, formaldehyde, arsenic. Now, the other toxic chemicals include gases such as carbon monoxide, ammonia, and hydrogen cyanide. These, much like oxygen, can be rapidly absorbed into the bloodstream, leading to a range of adverse effects, from reduced oxygen supply through a DNA damage. Now, given that an organic material is being burned, a large quantity of particulates will also be produced. And the composition of these particles will include polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, tobacco-specific nitrosamines, and soot. When inhaled, these particulates will deposit throughout the respiratory system. I discussed this in greater detail in a previous video. In short, they go everywhere, from the back of the throat through the deepest parts of the lungs. And where they land will affect how they can damage the body. So for example, when these particulates land in the upper airways, they can damage cilia cells, which reduces the body's ability to remove mucus and other debris. And by failing to remove these particulates, inflammation can be induced. Now, this inflammation can induce short-term effects such as arrhythmia or an increase in blood pressure. But over time, chronic inflammation can lead to airway damage or even airway remodeling. This results in the narrowing of the airways, destruction of the alveolar, and airway wall thickening. All of this leads to an overall reduction of lung function. So in short, a lot of damage is caused by the specific products of cigarette smoke. All right, so if the burning of the cigarette is the problem, then this suggests that an e-cigarette must be a safer option. Well, I guess this depends. It depends on what happens when the e-cigarette is activated. An e-cigarette typically consists of a few critical components: the vapor fluid tank, a coil, a battery, and a trigger to activate the system. When activated, the heating coil heats up the e-liquid that is then vaporized. The vapor then cools and condenses to form an aerosol that is inhaled. This means that the composition of the aerosol will largely depend on the makeup of the e-liquid. Now, generally, most e-liquids consist of 4 components: propylene glycol, which is used to deliver the throat hit that most smokers enjoy, plus it carries flavor as well. Vegetable glycerin is a sweet and thick substance that helps create the dense vapor. flavorings, and finally nicotine, the addictive component that acts as a stimulant. Now, apart from nicotine, none of these chemicals will be found in tobacco smoke. Critically, e-cigarettes don't produce the same combustion-derived particulates that cause so much harm to the lungs and throughout the body. Okay, so under normal operation, the gases and aerosol given off by an e-cigarette are wildly different than those given off by a regular cigarette. So this suggests that the e-cigarettes must be safer than regular cigarettes. But then the question really becomes, well, is it? Under normal usage, e-cigarettes don't produce the soot-type particulates that are known to cause harm. That said, they can still generate particulates. People can change the size and density of the vapor plume that they exhale by simply changing the temperature of the coil or the formulation of the e-liquid. While this can be entertaining, by dramatically increasing the temperature of the coil, a few things will happen. First, the burner itself will begin to break down, leading to the release of harmful chemicals such as chromium, nickel, lead, and zinc into the vapor. These high temperatures can also cause the e-liquid to undergo thermal decomposition. This produces toxic chemicals such as formaldehyde and acetaldehyde, as well as volatile organic compounds such as benzene and toluene. Now, even under normal usage, there are still chemicals in vapes that are harmful, the most obvious being nicotine. It is kind of the point of vaping. Nicotine is addictive and can affect brain development, memory, and concentration, as well as initiating and progressing cancer. Some of the flavorings added to e-liquids can cause problems, specifically the butter-flavored additive diacetyl. Now, diacetyl vapors, when inhaled, cause irreversible scarring of the small airways. This scarring blocks airflow, which leads to coughing, wheezing, and shortness of breath. Over time, diacetyl will cause something called popcorn lung. All of the chemicals I've just discussed can cause oxidative stress in the lungs, which can induce inflammation. And as discussed in a previous video, inflammation in the lungs can cause problems throughout the circulatory system. So, in short, while healthier than regular cigarettes, e-cigarettes still cause harm. And given how new of a product it is, we're still learning much every day about what kind of harm these things are causing. A simple rule of thumb I go by is that if you want to keep your lungs healthy, avoid inhaling large quantities of aerosol. All right. So with that, I hope you found that useful. If you liked, please like. If you want to see more of these, please subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below or ask me on Blue Sky or Twitter. And with that, Mix has all the references I used to make the video. Thanks.